Y'all, what's up? It's your girl Krista B from Those Wrestling Girls, and you know I have to tell you about my dope ass rock shirt that I finally got in the mail thanks to Ripple Junction. Ripple Junction is the best place to get all your authentic tees, whether it's WWE, whether it's The Office, whether it's any show that you love and mark over. You go over there, you order your shirt, you put it on, and boom. Also, you have to use the code Those Wrestling Girls to get 15% off your purchase. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to ripplejunction.com, order your shirt, type in the code Those Wrestling Girls, and you're also gonna tell them that we sent you. And on that note, it's your girl Krista B, and I am out. Everybody, what's up? We're back. It's Those Wrestling Girls. It's your girl Krista B
and Queen PR.
Today we have a dope spotlight episode. We are spotlighting all of the women in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yes. And we decided we wanted to do this because it is Road to WrestleMania. That means Hall of Fame is coming up. We didn't have the 2020 Hall of Fame due to Rona. So we have to shine a light on these women because, you know, there's only about one or two. No, it's for every one woman that's inducted to the Hall of Fame, there's about 5 to 6 guys who's inducted every year.
Yes.
2019 was a bit different. We had 2 women going to Hall of Fame, but one of them posthumously and with D-Generation X, which is the late great Chyna. Mm-hmm. But we still had 2 women going to Hall of Fame for 2019. And I feel like 2019 was the only year 2 women went to the Hall of Fame at the same time.
Yeah. And it's funny because I didn't even think about that until you said it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. Although we're just going to say Chyna should definitely be in the Hall of Fame by herself.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, so check out our spotlight on Chyna if you haven't. But I think it's interesting to do an episode on the Hall of Fame women because, like you said, there's always just like one compared to, 4 or 5 men. And I hope that what's exciting, though, about how the women are positioned now is that probably will change in the future because there are so many women that are killing it right now. There's women now that are active that we already know is going to be in the Hall of Fame, like the 4 Horsewomen and Natalia and like all that kind of stuff. But looking back at all the women that are in the Hall of Fame, including Chyna, I thought it would be fun to kind of go through it. So I'm just gonna pick random women that are in the Hall of Fame. The first one, of course, was Fabulous Moolah.
Guys, please don't troll us.
We just gotta put that out there. I mean, that's the history.
No, we get it. We know. Yeah, she was inducted in 1995's class.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of talk because of like her reputation and what she's done. If she should be taken out. But
yeah,
if take her out, would y'all put her right back in a few years later, like I did Hulk Hogan?
That's true.
So I feel like Moolah in the ring and what she stood for in wrestling as a woman should definitely stay. But at the same time, how can you really separate the two? But you have brought up a point. I think we was on Facebook Hills High Pod where it was just like Moolah was doing everything that the men were doing. When it came to recruiting these women, making sure that they were working, breaking bones and nails and whatnot, and exploiting them. Even though it was wrong, it should have been you stand up for women.
Yeah,
we did the same thing the men were doing, but nobody said shit about the men. That
right?
They do.
That's true.
Yeah, but she was inducted, and she was one of the longest reigning women's champions.
She really was.
She beat out Becky, she beat out Charlotte. Like longest, it says here she was NWA women's champion. She 5-time women's champion for 9,925 days.
That's insane.
WWF women's champion 4 times for a total of 10,708 days. And of course we know that's because it was really any competition.
Yeah.
But for her to carry that belt for so long, this was like years. I believe like 10 years.
Yeah, it was a long time.
long time.
It was a long time. And she brought the championship to WWF. I think she sold the NWA Women's Championship to maybe even like Vince's father, or maybe Vince, I'm not sure. But so she brought the championship over, and she trained a lot of wrestlers to be her opponents, but then like never lost to them. So her legacy is definitely very interesting and polarizing. A lot of people have requested that we do it may not be a spotlight, it might be more of a real talk episode, especially after that Dark Side of the Ring.
You can see a little bit of both.
Yeah, for sure. Because when it comes to history, like American history, there's those ugly things that you still kind of have to talk about. You know, when you talk about women's wrestling, you have to talk about Fabulous Moolah, although she has a horrible legacy. And I didn't realize how horrible it was until they tried to name that Battle Royal at WrestleMania after her, the same way they did Andre the Giant. And everyone was like, no, like sponsors pulled out, and they were like, okay, I think now it's just literally called the Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Yeah, but I'm still glad we was able to keep the Mae Young Classic. And
yes.
You can't talk about Moolah,
right?
About Mae Young.
Yes, and she is in the Hall of Fame as well.
My walls and floors and stuff are really thin, so something or someone just fell, and my whole living room just fell. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah. So Mae Young, who was like the sidekick or tag team to Moolah, was inducted in 2008. Mm-hmm. She started wrestling in 1941. Half of us wasn't even thought of.
I know. She was like one of the first lady wrestlers in the day. And I heard she's like one of the toughest. She's also a wrestler that Moolah was not afraid of. I mean, that wasn't afraid of Moolah is what I should have said.
What do you mean you heard she was one of the toughest? Did you not see her go through a table through the Dudley Boys?
Oh yeah, she was doing things in her like later years that most women were not doing at all at the time. So yeah, shout out to Mae Young.
And she was very comedic.
Oh, she was hilarious. Hilarious.
So, it's always times where, you know, you see her and Moolah in vignettes and stuff of that nature. And it's just like, and then like, you see them together, and then you always hear King's commentary about them, whatever, which was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
I would give that to King. Those commentary about me,
it made it awesome.
It made it better. But then you see, it makes you wonder, like, once, you know, Moolah passed, Mae was still on there by herself at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not sure what year Moolah passed then, but you started seeing Mae Young more and more. You started seeing her do the stuff with Mark Henry in the hand. Then you started pinching Rock's butt and Rock Mae, and like going through a table with the Dudley Boys, and she wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. 70-something years old,
and she told them, "Don't take it easy on me. Like, do what you would do with everybody else."
Yep, she was 76 years old when she started with WWE in 99.
Wow, that's crazy, and that's like right in the peak of it all.
Moolah died in 2010. She wrestled her final match in WWE at age 87.
Wow.
They retired Ric Flair.
Yeah, and he's still going. She was still going.
He's still going.
Good for her. Good for Moolah.
See, when did they both pass? Because
it had to be I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But I think like in the early look that up in early 2000s. But
died in November 2nd, 2007.
Okay. And then that makes sense. And they inducted her the following year.
Ooh, no, Moolah was inducted in 95.
Oh, I thought you said Mae Young, my bad.
No, Mae Young died. Oh, Mae Young died on January. Oh, that's my aunt's birthday. January 14th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. Oh, she lived a very long life.
A very long life. She had to be.
Good for you, Mae Young.
Oh, and she was a Pisces. Shout out to Come on,
I love that.
1923.
I love that. So I want to talk about someone else, Alundra Blayze, or Medusa in WCW. She was inducted in 2015. And she was
that induction ceremony. I feel like I was just watching that.
Yeah. And Natalia inducted her.
Right.
And it was a big deal because this was kind of like her peace offering with WWE after very controversial moments. But before all of that, she was like one of a kind. Like she was kind of what the women's evolution is now. Like she was wrestling, she was attractive, but she was wrestling like no one had ever seen. She had went to Japan, and this was before women were welcomed into wrestling like they are now. Like she really had to fight her way to get, and like her talent really, like it really like spoke for itself.
Yeah. Damn, I really feel like this was like 2016, 2017. Alundra Blayze was inducted, not 2015, because I feel like I was just watching it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing because I wasn't watching wrestling at like in 2015, but I remember like when, like I remember watching like the documentary they put out about her, and I was like, I couldn't have been watching that in 2015.
You need to. I'm gonna fact check this.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, Sportster. So we're using a list on Sportster.
No, they're right. March 28th, 2015.
Oh, okay.
It just feels so like yesterday.
It does. It really does. Maybe because we watched, I don't know. I watched a lot of it from like the show perspective, which was probably a couple years after.
No, I watched it. Why was I watching the whole thing in 2015?
Right. And it's interesting too, because I was just right when the women's or Divas Revolution was starting. So I think the timing of that is really, really cool and interesting. But, you know, she took the belt to WCW, threw it in the trash. So it was always one of those things where it's like, would she ever be welcome back to WWE? Because Vince was angry about it. But her legacy in women's wrestling, and then she went on to have like a bomb ass monster truck career. Like, and she paved the way. Like, she broke records for women in that industry right after wrestling. So she's really dope. And I'm glad that she made her way back to WWE. And she's, you know, we saw her at Evolution, which is so cool.
Step at all. Like,
not at all.
You know, it's crazy. I can't really go back and rewatch Evolution because of, well, first and foremost, I don't go back to rewatch any pay-per-views. Like, I'll watch the shows, like I'm still in ruthless aggression type era, whatever. But I don't go back to rewatch any of the pay-per-views.
Okay.
But the first time we rewatch Evolution, it's just like chills, like I have right now. Like, you were there. Like, every time, and when I'm like scrolling on Facebook, and you know, of course, damn near every Brooklyn show we were at.
Yep, 100%.
Almost every Brooklyn show we're at. So when something comes up, I'm like, yo, I will always. Me and Patricia was there. Yep. I'm only saying Patricia name Facebook. Like, me and Patricia were there. You remember this moment? You remember? Like, when I just posted the moment when Braun Strowman was about to cash in on Roman and Dean.
So glad we were there. And that's one of those moments that you couldn't predict. And it's like, I miss live shows because they always.
And I remember.
Yep.
I was doing so much shit. All right. I noticed a spotlight, but I have to get this.
Okay. Yes.
So if you know, WWE always has these surprises after pay-per-view. SummerSlam before. The SummerSlam, I think the same year of NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Me and my friend Jacqueline, I remember I was dog sitting. And I'm like, I didn't want to go to Raw's Raw. Watch that on TV, you know. I want to go to SummerSlam. I was mad. I'm on the phone. All I hear is the Dudley Boys come out, beat up the New Day, screaming my life away. So, you know, you expect surprises. So we go through the whole Monday Night Raw, not one surprise. And I'm just like, what is this? F this. This is supposed to be a surprise. What is going on? Like, so we did this whole show with no surprises. She was like, "Oh snap, you right." I'm like, mind you, I still had the phone in my hand. I was going to record Roman anyway. And then you heard the Sierra Hotel India Echo. I was
I can't believe we were there for that.
Video, y'all. I would have to post that video again.
Yes, you really should.
I'm surprised I was able to recover from yelling loud. Like, I feel like if I was, and that's how we met the cameraman, Billy.
Yep. That was a crazy, like, fun, unexpected night.
And now every time Pete watches that, she claims she hears me yelling over everybody.
Yo, I never heard her scream so loud. Like, I really never, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I got that. We got a film of that too.
Yeah.
But speaking of evolution,
those moments are ones that you can't, like, you have to live in those moments.
Yes.
Because it's like, if you go watch it afterwards, you don't really get that same effect. So I was happy I was able to live in the moment through my screaming, or live in the moment while we were at Evolution. Like, how many out-of-body experiences were we having at Evolution?
Oh my God, so many. Like, so let's tie this into Hall of Fame because it's perfect. Right. We got Trish and Lita. Exactly. So as a kid, as everyone knows, and Ivory, yep, shout out to Ivory. So we can lump all these bad bitches together. So as a kid, and as everyone knows, we grew up in the Attitude Era. Like, Trish and Lita were it, and Ivory too. Like, she was, very active in that era. But they really positioned Trish and Lita to be like, and for us, like, I remember when Lita debuted, and I was instantly intrigued by her because she looked so different. She had like the red hair, and she was flying everywhere and doing everything that the men were doing. I was like, oh my God, I was zeroed in on
Wait, you mean her debut wrestling match or her debut in Raw?
Her debut wrestling match when she came out with what's his name? Del Rio. I say Rio.
They celebrated an anniversary too.
Yeah.
Like 20 years.
Yeah. So I just remember that. I remember her with the Hardy Boys, and just her making it just feel dope to be different. Like, it was like she didn't look like anyone. She was badass. And what was cooler than fucking Team Extreme back in the day? Like,
still to this day. Okay.
Nothing cooler. Nothing. Team Extreme forever. So how did it feel seeing Lita live? Because I had went to house shows as a kid, like 2 or 3, but I never saw Lita like live. So I was like, it was surreal to me.
Yeah, I feel like surreal is the right word to use. Besides fucking amazing. But yeah, being able to see Lita, Trish, Ivory. Who were the other legends in that? Oh, Michelle McCool. Like, all those legends, and then that standoff, Alundra Blayze. Like, to see all of those legends in one ring with the stars of today, it was just like
so cool.
Like, when Lita debuted, we had to be like around 9-10 years old, or maybe 9 years old. However age I was, that little girl was just like jumping and screaming for joy. Like, forget 20-something-year-old, 28-year-old me. 8-year-old me was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm looking at these legends, these women I've idolized, these women I grew up watching on TV. And although they're regular people, they're human. They go through stuff that, like, we go through stuff. It's just, it was just those surreal moments where it's like, this is like, oh my God. Like, all my friends from the hood, like, we all would have been in there watching together,
Yeah. So Trish was inducted. I'm sorry, not Trish. Lita was inducted in 2014, and Trish was inducted in 2013.
Yeah.
So Trish, same kind of with Lita. Like, I remember her debut. I remember that Sunday Night Heat episode, and just always knowing that, whatever Trish was going to be involved in was going to be like a highlight of the show. And she really grew, and what I really respect about her, and I didn't appreciate that older, is like she really grew into like a legit wrestler. Like we literally watched her go from, you know, eye candy to taking ridiculous bumps to being in ridiculous like storylines to like really becoming like a really good wrestler and holding that championship and really having dope feuds with like Jazz and of course Lita and
Gail Kim
and Victoria and everything.
By the way, shout out to Gail Kim. Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Gail Kim.
Us Pisces, we run the world. Thank you for that TED Talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, but so Trish, she's definitely like I understand why she's regarded the way that she is. Do I feel like other women in that era who also helped Trish look good should be praised more, like Jazz and etc. But you know, Trish definitely did that, and so she retired as champion. She was 7-time champion. So she held the record for the most decorated female in WWE for a long time until Charlotte Flair came and just demolished that record.
Rolling your eyes when you say Charlotte Flair, because you a whole Charlotte Flair stan, sis.
I'm not a Charlotte Flair stan. I can just, in certain situations, I can see why she's involved in things. Do I feel like she should have been champion for 13 times already? Hell no. That's it's ridiculous. And she's only been active for like 6-7 years, and you've already been champion 13 times. Like, so
I feel like if Austin did it though, you would have been fine. So shush.
I don't know that. But it was different back then. Like they held the belt for like a long time and title changes meant something. With Charlotte, you know, there was times where she was champion for like a week. Like once she was champion just to like help Bayley become champion at Money in the Bank, or when she became champion just to be inserted into the WrestleMania match. Like those are just reigns on her belt that would just feel meaningless after a while.
Also, you admit that Charlotte didn't really deserve to be in that main event at Mania.
No, she deserves to be in the main event at Mania. I'm mad that it caused her to be. Wait. I'm mad that it caused another SmackDown reign from Asuka to make it happen.
How she got in that main event at Mania was not deserved.
I don't think a random title reign was deserved, but I do think she deserved to be in a main event.
Okay, and we're not even going to go back into that argument.
So let's see who else is in the Hall of Fame that we haven't talked about yet. Oh, I love her, Sensational Sherry. She was inducted in 2006, and she is somebody that I have looked back on now that I'm older, and I didn't get into her until unfortunately after she passed and her wrestling career was way over. But she needs way more praise. I wish she would have got her flowers. I wish that she would have been able to have a more like a longer career, like more when women were considered wrestlers, because she was fucking tough. She was, you know, on the mic with the greats like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Shawn Michaels, and like she lasted throughout so many eras, and she was in WCW with Harlem Heat. Like she did so much. She also had bomb ass outfits, and she was just a badass bitch that I feel like I just really wish, like I just crave for more to see from her.
All right, I'm gonna have to get y'all. I just need you to know half of the stuff that we say on here are our opinions, and for her to say the great and put Hulk Hogan in it, that's all on her opinion. Nothing to do with me, okay?
I was saying the era that she was in, and she was put on the same level as a Hulk Hogan in the late 80s, early 90s. As a woman, that says a lot about her caliber at the time. So, and not a lot of women were put in that position. You had Miss Elizabeth, but she was like a background player. But Sensational Sherry was like in it, like she was one of them.
You know, badass. Like I ain't
like,
know.
She was dope.
She was a super badass. You know, she did hold it down in the ring. Like it was like after Wendy Richter left, who's also in the Hall of Fame, Sensational Sherry kind of like catapulted and was just like through the roof, skyrocket. And yeah, I really feel like we should have given her, well, not us, because you know we do it, but we weren't around during that reign. Like we weren't born yet or thought of yet or whatever. But I feel like those who were there during that golden era reign during Sensation Sherry, even like in the early 90s, because we were too young to understand or comprehend, they should definitely give her flowers.
Yeah.
Hands down, definitely give her flowers. Like, I'm glad that she's in WWE's Hall of Fame, and I feel like she came back to WWE before she passed, and probably she has.
Yeah.
I do, and I feel like she's like one of the best heels ever. She plays
yeah.
well. She plays heels so well. Like, I feel like if Stephanie McMahon as a heel and Sensational Sherry as a heel in Sensational Sherry's prime, I don't even know who I put my money on.
Right. Same.
I don't know who I put my money on.
And those are the most exciting like matchups, is when you're like, you know what, this is just gonna be good. I don't even know who I'm rooting for, but I'm here for it.
Sensational Sherry, she was women's champion. She was champion for 441 days.
Wow. That's over a year.
Right. That's very long, especially during the 80s, because there weren't a lot of women wrestling in WWF at the time.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
So
kudos to that. Yeah.
Like
she had her time too.
She was a dope ass manager too.
She was.
We gotta do a spotlight with managers.
Oh my God, we totally should.
And
there's so many.
We definitely have to do a spotlight of the managers. She managed Macho Man Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and like you said, Harlem Heat. We just gonna give her flowers right now. Hope that they get to wherever you are, Sherry.
Yeah. Shout out to you. So I'm just scrolling up the Bella Twins. So we
gotta go to Wendy Richter first. We kept passing her.
Oh, okay. I wasn't going in a particular order, but at the end, Wendy Richter is great.
We talked about Sensational Sherry. Wendy Richter, because they're of the same time, you know.
That's true. Yeah. And she's dope.
Wendy Richter got inducted in 2010. She was one of the faces in WWE in the 1980s. If you guys remember, she won the women's title at WrestleMania. No, did she win?
Yeah. No, yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. She
had a brawl for all at Mania against Moolah. She's the one who ended Fabulous Moolah's 28-year title reign. For whatever reason, holding the belt for 28 years. I'm gonna let that sink in for y'all. Anyways.
Yes. And we were like 9,000 days. Like that's and then you hear it in years. You're like, oh my God. Like she spent most of her life as a women's champion.
Yeah, like she was born with the belt. Here you go. What? Okay. She was a two-time women's champion from what I'm reading. She also beat Leilani Kai, which is such a pretty name.
It really is. It really, really is.
At WrestleMania 1, when Cyndi Lauper was in her corner. This is when MTV and WWE was coming together, like pop and rock and all of that stuff, whatever. So Cyndi Lauper happened to be in Wendy Richter's corner. I think that was also the same year that Mr. T and Muhammad Ali was there. So if you go back to WrestleMania 1, go learn the backstory of why all the celebrities were in WWE.
That was the first time wrestling really truly went mainstream, like MTV mainstream.
Right. So Wendy Richter, 2010. And I feel like she's not mentioned a lot either. Like when we talk about female legends,
she should be. She totally should be. And that's one of those things where, you know, WWE's revisionist history, like they put out what they want you to remember, but as fans, you know, we know the like how impactful Wendy Richter is. And it was so heartbreaking hearing her on Mae Young, Moolah's Dark Side of the Ring, because that's when you hear, you know, this is when we hear, you know, Wendy Richter's experience in WWF, like after all these years when she was like the star, like the Becky Lynch of that era that ushered in wrestling into like what it is now. You know, it sucks that she doesn't get the recognition, and she ended up getting screwed out of the title by Moolah. Like they say, that's the original screw job. So it's just, It's unfortunate because she should definitely be as talked about as Trish, Lita, and all that. Or Hulk Hogan. Like, fuck that. Like, he makes all these fucking random ass appearances. Like, we should be talking about Randy Richter almost half as much.
That's facts. We tired of seeing Hulk Hogan. If y'all didn't listen to Face Feet Hill High, I did
listen to that Thirsty Thursday.
I did an exclusive sound off. Hopefully we can cut that audio so that could actually be a sound off. But
oh, that can totally happen.
Definitely did an exclusive sound off on Hulk Hogan and why fans don't care about his trash ass anymore. But anyway, so Wendy Richter.
Yeah.
Let's do Bellas. Talk about Bellas.
So we don't have to talk too much about them because people know how much we fuck with them. Check out our Spotlight episode on the Bella Twins. We also have an episode on Lita and Trish. Spotlight on Ivory. So we have a lot. We cover a lot of Hall of Famers already, which I think is dope. But Bella Twins was controversial because a lot of people felt like it was too soon. A lot of people, you know how polarizing the Bella Twins are. They get heavily criticized for whatever reason. But I understood why they were in the Hall of Fame. You know, would I have been mad if this happened 5 years later, you know, down the line? No. But was I excited when it was announced? Hell yeah. What was your reaction?
At first, I was like, what?
Is this real?
It was more like, what? So does that mean they're retiring? Like they're never coming back? You know, once you're in Hall of Fame, you retire.
Well, not really, because look at Edge.
That's why I put air quotes, retired.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at this. I didn't see you. Sorry.
Retired.
Yes.
And I'm just like, well, was I happy for them? Yes, of course, always happy. But I do feel like it is too soon to rest a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have so much more going for them. And then, you know, we were able to ask them about the tag team champions
on the Tamron Hall show. Check it out.
Yo, those wrestling girls are going places, okay?
Yes.
But I feel like it could have waited. I feel like I feel like because it was 2020 and how they announced it, and then it just wasn't as special. Like you guys were pregnant, you were on Moment of Bliss, you were pregnant together, and then it's like when they announced it, half that audience didn't even clap. Like they didn't give a reaction. I feel like it could have been more special. I feel like people felt like Brie needed to come and redeem herself after the stuff with Liv Morgan or the nosedive gone bad or whatever, and I feel like they wanted to see Nikki come after the whole Evolution stuff and you know whatever she did with Ronda Rousey, and maybe they actually want to see Bellas again as a tag team.
True.
You know? And I just felt like it was a premature decision for WWE to do. Not saying that they're not deserving of it, but they could add a lot more under their belt. Like I would love to see Brie Bella as another women's champion.
Yeah, I think she needs to. I think she honestly needs to come back to redeem herself because I think, you know, the narrative is like the Bellas can't wrestle, the Bellas suck. But if you like really look back, like Brie became a pretty decent wrestler. Like in my opinion, better than Nikki at some points throughout their career. But unfortunately, she retired and, you know, she started her family. And then when she came back and she admitted, you know, she didn't train as hard as she should have. And she underestimated what it takes to get back in the ring and to perform at the level. Because, you know, Brie left when the women's evolution was just starting. And now there's a roster of women that are performing at a much higher level. And then for you to have not been in the ring for a while, and then for you to not train enough the way that Nikki did, because I think Nikki came back on fire personally. Like I was almost thinking she was going to take the belt over Ronda at Evolution. So
that was a fun match.
That was I think that was one of Nikki Bella's probably one of her best matches of her career, and also one of my favorite Ronda Rousey matches. And there's not many of those when she was there, but you know, I understand why they're in a Hall of Fame. Is it early? Yes. But I don't think, I mean, I do believe they deserve it, but I feel like there's so many other women that should get their flowers first, and then down the line, but the Bellas get theirs for sure. But you know, we're and that's how we are. We're Bella Army, and we can admit, like, you know, it was a little too soon.
a little early. Definitely a little early.
So now I want to move to Beth Phoenix, who was the youngest person inducted into the Hall of Fame at the time of her induction. And she was inducted in 2017. So she was in, like, I like to call my blind spot of just like years of wrestling that I was not tuned in whatsoever.
Yeah,
so I was one of those people that had to like go back and learn about Beth Phoenix and her career and how different she was and how ahead of her time she was. And what are your thoughts on Beth Phoenix?
First of all, I really thought her and Natalia were twins.
They're a good pair for sure.
She debuted in 2006. We were 16 at the time. We were not watching anybody.
I was like in the club. No, I'm just kidding.
15, I was captain of the step team. I was on the dance squad. I was fangirling over Chris Brown.
We were in totally different
worlds at 16. So, like you said, to go back and to watch, the Divas of Destruction.
Divas of Doom.
To go back and watch the Divas of Doom, to go back to see her in the Royal Rumble and to see like the arm thing that she does. And I'm just like, how do you do that, sis? Like,
right. With the belt and everything.
No way. She got to be double jointed. And then for her to come back and she didn't miss a step either.
No, she truly did not. She truly did not.
And then to see her in both, was she in both Royal Rumbles? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then that second Royal Rumble where she hit her head and all that blood, and I'm just like, I would have passed out.
Me too. She's a tough one. She's another tough one. Can somebody get the stretcher? I need to be escorted out.
Like a painless fall. I'll come back and beat your asses after they stitch me up. But just roll me under so I can come back and beat you up. But nah, she's real tough. Like I feel like her and China are like anomalies.
Yeah, they're like on a whole nother level.
China and WWE, and they even shaft her like they did. And to have a China and Beth Phoenix feud, you know how crazy that would have been?
That would have been insane.
I think I would have been watching wrestling. I'd have been like, y'all.
I would have totally been watching wrestling.
In high school. So I just would be like, y'all, I love y'all, but I got to go watch wrestling. See y'all later. Beth Phoenix is definitely
deserving.
Definitely deserving of. Sorry, I'm hungry. Definitely deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. And of course, she was inducted by her best friend.
Yep. I couldn't imagine anyone else. And she got with Edge after he left, which I thought was interesting too. But she was women's champion. She was Divas champion. Yeah. I really wanted her to be tag team champions with Natty. Like, I'm open to that in the future. Like, because she paired back up with Natty at WrestleMania 35, which was dope for the tag team championships. And she was inspired to become a wrestler by the Hart family. So for her to be escorted out with Bret Hart and Natalia at WrestleMania, I can only imagine like how much that meant to her.
Because what happened?
At WrestleMania 35. That was a long night. You probably.
Girl, I was delirious at one point. Delirious and cold and drinking $6 hot chocolates.
Oh Jesus!
And a small donut cup.
I miss that though. I will do anything to be able to go back to like a live show.
I need to laugh.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about Ivory.
Got Jacqueline now.
Inducted in 2018. Much deserved. She was in Glow. She was champion for 331 days. And then I didn't mention Beth Phoenix was Divas champion once for 571 days.
Oh yeah, I said that, but you didn't hear me.
So okay, sorry. So yeah, that's cray. So you want to talk about Jacqueline?
Yes, we have to. Come on, good
shout out to Jacqueline, the Black Girl Magic we all needed back in the Attitude Era.
Facts.
Yeah, much deserved. Much deserved. She was inducted in 2016. And she was in WWE much longer than I thought, from 98 to 2004.
Right.
And
we didn't see her as much during 2003, 2000. Well, I stopped in 2002, so.
Yeah. So, and she was in she's another one that should get more praise and flowers, and not just like during Black History Month. Like, I think she should get talked about because she actually could wrestle. I hear and shoot interviews all the time that she's one of the toughest women in the business. Like, that she will fuck guys up. Like, she didn't play.
She beat Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight Championship.
She did. History.
In 1990, no, wait. Yeah, that was 1998. But yeah, when they brought back the women's champion, she won that 98. She beat Chavo Guerrero, held that title for 9 days. But outside of WWE, she won the USWA women's title 14 times.
Wow.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. So she was very accomplished before she even came to WWE.
I think my favorite thing about Jacqueline is the stories that you hear about her. Like, I specifically remember when the Dudley Boys were inducting her, and they were talking about how they would be on the road late night and how Jackie's like really cheap. Every time they'd be like, "Oh, we gotta go stop, get some gas. Are you tipping up the gas?" They try to ruffle up whatever change and stuff they had. They'll happen to look in the rear view and see that she's asleep, fake sleep.
That's hilarious.
Like, just knocks out. So I like hearing those. I like hearing the stories of the wrestlers that you really don't hear about today, or people have stories for days.
Yeah, it's such an interesting business.
Yeah, people have stories for days. Like, to be honest, I never would have thought that the Dudley Boys would have inducted Jacqueline. I feel like ATA, or even they would have brought back Mark Mero, or even like have Sable. But another female duo. Like, I never would have thought the Dudley Boys, but then you hear these stories, it's just like, oh, okay, I understand now. I got it. Done.
Yeah. I want to talk next about someone who was also controversial, Sunny. And she was inducted in 2018.
2011.
2011. How do you feel about her being in the Hall of Fame? And do you think she should still be in the Hall of Fame? I think she's like in jail right now.
Sunny was a good manager.
Mm-hmm.
She Road Warriors, the Godwins, the Smoking Guns. She was Sable before Sable, in a sense. She was that sex symbol that Vince McMahon was looking for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, life happens.
Yep.
WWE doesn't pay you out when you're not there anymore. Once you're off TV, especially back then, once you're off TV, you're not making no money.
Yes, done.
So, I mean, life happens. Do I agree with half the stuff she says now? Like the illicit stuff, the racial things? Of course not.
Yeah.
Not at all. But is she deserving of being in WWE because of the way that the way that she paved? Sure, no problem. Because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have had a Sable. If it wasn't for Sable, we wouldn't have Jacqueline Ivory. If it wasn't for Jacqueline Ivory, we wouldn't have had Trish and Lita, and so on and so forth. So, it's cool. Just don't let her bring that shit around here.
Right.
On site. That's it.
Yep. I agree. But I agree. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think for the time that she was in WWE, she was very popular. She was a star for sure. She was a good manager, but like you said, after wrestling, sometimes life just fucking hits you, and that's that. So Tori Wilson is one of the most recent inductees in 2019. We got to see it live in Brooklyn, and we did a spotlight episode on her, so check that out too. Tori Wilson was one of those. I think all the women are heavily criticized when it's announced who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, because wrestling fans are just the worst sometimes. But Tori Wilson, How do you feel? Do you think she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Of course. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
She definitely deserves it. She was actually starting to wrestle. You understand? It's not like she was just there. Yeah, she was there at a time where, flaunting the body and those bra and panty matches, bikini matches, was still a thing. But once it was time to evolve and start to do more and learn more, Tori Wilson was doing that.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was there because she flashed her boobs every damn night. She sat on somebody's face every damn night. She hit splits, did somersaults, and close to nothing every damn night. Like she was actually wrestling, improving, and evolving. So yeah, I think she deserved it. Her induction is well deserved. She had funny moments. She made it work for her because that's what she was given at that time.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Did we get everyone? Every woman that's in the Hall of Fame?
That we spoke about. I know.
Wow, okay.
China's the last one.
Yeah, so just to recap, so we wanted to do a spotlight on women in the Hall of Fame as we get excited about WrestleMania season. And because the Hall of Fame of WWE is very highly talked about, and it's going to become time where hopefully they announce who's going to be in it. I don't know, with Corona, everything's different. So I don't know. But it sucks that there's only one out of every class. So it's always like, who's going to be the woman? Who's going to be the woman? Who's going to be the woman of that year? So just to recap, in no particular order, these are the women that are in the WWE Hall of Fame. Tori Wilson, Jacqueline, Sunny, Wendy Richter, Ivory, Beth Phoenix, Bella Twins, Lita, Sensational Sherry, Mae Young, Chyna, Fabulous Moolah, Alundra Blayze, and Trish Stratus. So to conclude, Krista, who do you think needs to be inducted this year?
Molly Holly.
How is she not?
Mm-hmm.
That is so weird to me. And it gets to a point where I'll say she's a Hall of Famer, and I'm like, wait, she's not. That's how much she should be in the Hall of Fame.
She's a Hall of Fame. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, Molly Holly?
Yeah.
Molly Holly. Like they should definitely induct Bull Nakano.
Yes.
Two. Bull Nakano should definitely be in Hall of Fame because sis, let me tell you something about her. Sis went above and beyond. You understand? Like she out of this world, a force to be reckoned with. So Bull Nakano definitely needs to be put in the Hall of Fame. Who else? I'm trying to think. Stacy Keibler. Have a Hall of Fame name.
Yeah. I feel like how is Tori in and Stacy's not in? Like they give me like the same like
Tori
vibes.
Tori. I feel like Natalia's way overdue.
Yeah, she'll definitely.
And if they want to go in or not, because look at Taker. Taker forever.
I can see him getting in soon. Or I'm so like, I be in denial when it comes to like Taker. Like, are you really retired?
No, I
think you really?
I think it was a very Cinderella full circle moment for you to retire in the same place on the same day, 30 years later.
That's crazy.
November 22nd, 1990, he made his debut at Survivor Series. November 22nd, 2020, he retired at Survivor Series. And I feel like that. I think that's why I like Survivor Series. All of the legends were debuted at Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is so true. I'm sure there's some women too. If I did some digging, there's probably a lot of women that debuted over the years at Survivor Series. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what women end up in the Hall of Fame in the future. I hope that in the future, because of what the women are doing now, and there's so many of them, that there is more than one inducted at one time. Right. But yeah, so I really enjoyed looking through all the Hall of Fame women in WWE.
It's still not enough though. We need to the men.
No, it's not even 20.
Not even 20. And the Bellatons don't count as
No.
2. They count as 1.
They count as 1. And the Hall of Fame, I think, started in 95. So there's been all of these ceremonies. So there's countless of men, you know, in it. And then they have the celebrity wing and all of that. But the women should definitely get at least 2 slots every year.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, y'all, it's your girl, Krista B.
And Queen PR.
We are out.
Hi everybody, it's me, Queen PR, one half of those wrestling girls, and I'm here to remind you that we dropped our very first capsule collection to celebrate 2 years of those wrestling girls. It's our Attitude Era themed. It's only going to be available for a limited time only, so make sure you check it out. We have a hoodie, t-shirt, mugs, and a little bit more, so make sure you check that out, and thank you for supporting those wrestling girls.